A long, long time ago, there lived a man. And he had a big family. And they were very, very poor. What does poor mean? What does it mean if you're poor? Yes.
You haven't got any food.
Well, yes, but actually this man did have food. What else can it mean? Usually poor people don't have very much food, but this man had enough food to feed his family. What does it mean he didn't have?
He doesn't have any money.
Money. Didn't have very much money at all to share with his family. But they were okay for food, and I'll tell you why. Because they lived on a farm. So they always had enough to eat, which was great. Who has a favourite food? Who has a food they like to eat more than anything else? Yes.
Vegetables.
Vegetables. He had so many vegetables because he had a farm and he grew carrots and broccoli and asparagus and all his favourite vegetables. He always had vegetables. What's your favourite food?
Carrots.
Carrots. He had carrots as well. He grew carrots. That was great. What's your favourite food?
Carrots.
Carrots as well. He had enough carrots for everyone who liked carrots in his family, which was everyone but the baby who wouldn't eat the carrots. What's your favourite food?
Chips.
Fish and chips. Do you know what? He couldn't get fish. He grew potatoes, which is what chips made out of. He couldn't get fish, but he'd always have a few spare potatoes and he would take them to the market and he could swap them for fish. So every Friday they would have fish and chips as a special treat. So he always had that. So pretty much every one of his family's favourite food they could have. And so they're fine for food. The problem was that they didn't have any space. His whole family, all his children and their children and his aunts and uncles all lived in one room just about as big as this classroom. And there were babies crying and there were people farting in the middle of the night and it was smelly and it got hot in the summer and it was cold in the winter and it was so difficult to sleep. Does anyone have a baby brother or sister? Yeah? Do they sometimes keep you awake at night? Not having yours doesn't. Well, I'm afraid this man's did. And he never got a good night's sleep because the babies were always crying. And does anyone have a brother or a sister? Like one about your age, about the same age as you? Do you ever fight with them? Do you ever squabble with them? His children and his grandchildren would do that all night. They would squabble with each other and push each other. It was terrible. And do you know what? One day he had had enough. And so he went off to see the local priest. And he asked his advice. He told the priest how he could never get any time to himself, how all of his family never had a good night's sleep, and he asked him what he should do. And the priest said, "Well, my child, it's funny you should ask, actually. I do have a solution. Tell me, do you have any ducks?" And the man said, "Well, yes, I do have ducks, but don't really see how that's going to help." And the priest said, "Bring them inside for the night, let them sleep inside." "Ducks don't sleep inside, I'm sorry, but..." He said, "Bring them inside for the night, let them sleep inside." Now the man didn't understand. Ducks are very noisy creatures. Who knows what noise a duck makes? Make it. He didn't want that noise in his house. But he was at his wit's end. So he decided to follow the priest's advice. And he took all the ducks inside for the night. That night there were feathers everywhere. The family had less space than before. The ducks were flying about everywhere. They were making a terrible noise. Let's hear it. He woke up in the morning. He didn't wake up because he hadn't gone to sleep. He went back to the priest, knocked on the door. The priest answered and said, "Yes, my child?" And the man explained how it was worse than before. It was terrible. That no one got any sleep and there were feathers and it was messy and it was disgusting. And the priest said to him, "Well, do you have any sheep? The man said, well, I do, but what difference does that make? I don't see what you're saying. The priest said, bring them inside to sleep with you for the night. Sheep do not sleep inside. Oh, no.
They do.
But the priest insisted. And so the man trusted him and he followed his advice. And he gathered up all his sheep. What noise do sheep make? And he took them inside for the night. And that night, the children were trampled by the sheep, and the sheep ate all the bedclothes, and they ate the posters off the walls, and they knocked over the pans. And there was such a terrible noise. Let's have all the people on this side being ducks, and all the people on this side being sheep. Are you ready? So you're ducks. I'll be a duck with this side. You're making the sheep noise. Let's hear what it sounded like in the house that night. Okay, you ready? Go. The man went straight to the priest's house. Next thing. First thing in the morning. Yes, my child? The man explained how terrible it had been that night. And then the priest listened to him and said to him, do you have any cows? Please don't say I've got to bring my cows inside. The priest nodded. The man couldn't believe it. But again, he decided he had gone this far, so he might as well follow the priest's advice. He gathered up all his cows. What noise do cows make? And he took them inside for the night. Right, this time let's have, okay, we'll be ducks. Okay, again. We'll have the front half, these people being cows, and we'll have all you being sheep, okay? And we'll hear what it sounded like that terrible, terrible night. Are you ready? Go! When the sun came up in the morning, there was poo on the floor, and it was smelly, and people had been hurt by the cows treading on them, and the house was just so full. There was nowhere to sleep and nowhere to rest, and the family were fed up, and the man was fed up, and he marched into the village and he knocked on the priest's door. And the priest answers and he said, yes, my child? And the man said, it's too much now, it's so noisy, and there's all these animals, and all our stuff's being ruined, and it's just terrible. I don't have any chill out time, and it's horrible. And the priest said, the animals are a problem then? And he said, yes, the animals are a problem. So the priest said, well, take them out, let them sleep outside. That's what I was doing before, the man said. But he was pleased the priest had given this advice, so he went home, and that night all the animals slept outside in the barn where they were meant to sleep. And do you know what? That night the little house seemed so peaceful. Everyone in the family slept so well. The babies didn't cry, the children didn't squabble because they were so pleased to have so much space. They all felt like they lived in a palace. And they all lived happily ever after.